Hi everyone, this video is about the imperfect subjunctive, el imperfecto del subjuntivo. You can find this information on pages 120 and 121 of the textbook Exploraciones. So let's kind of review when we use the present subjunctive before we move into when we use the imperfect subjunctive. So if our verb is in the present tense, we are going to use the present subjunctive. For example, in this sentence, our first verb is quiero, no quiero. That is in the present tense. So we are going to use the present subjunctive vote. If we're going to express no quiero que mi padre vote por ese candidato. Quiero is in present tense, so vote is going to be in present subjunctive. I don't want my dad to vote for that candidate. However, if our first verb is in the preterite or the imperfect tense, we are going to use the imperfect subjunctive. For example, let's look at that same sentence. No quería que mi padre votara por ese candidato. I didn't want my dad to vote for that candidate. So our verb quería is in the imperfect tense. So our verb votara is going to be an imperfect subjunctive. And we'll just take a look at a couple more examples. In this sentence, era importante que eligieran a alguien bilingüe. It was important that they elect somebody bilingual. So era, the verb era, it was, is in the imperfect tense. So the verb eligieran is in the imperfect subjunctive. Now we have an example where the first verb is in the preterite. Mi madre nos pidió que habláramos de nuestras diferencias. My mom asked us to talk about our differences. The first verb, pidió, is in the preterite. So our second verb, habláramos, is in the imperfect subjunctive. So you can see that if the verb is in the imperfect or the preterite, we're going to use the imperfect subjunctive. So by now you are asking, how do we form the imperfect subjunctive? It's not so bad. We use the third person plural, so the ellos, ellas, and ustedes form of the preterite as our base. So you're thinking, well, what is the third person plural preterite again? It looks like this. Lucharon, vencieron, and eligieron. Those are three examples of the third person preterite with an AR, ER, and IR verb. Lucharon, vencieron, and eligieron. So we use that as our base. So what we're going to do is that we remove the O-N ending and we add the endings below. So we are looking at the verb luchar, vencer, and elegir. So let's look at the yo form. For luchar, it's going to be luchara, vencer is venciera, and elegir is eligiera. You can see that the yo forms always end in A. For tú, we have tú, lucharas, vencieras, and eligieras. The tú form ends in AS. And now we have él, ella, usted, third person singular. Él, ella, usted, luchara, venciera, and eligiera. And you can see that the first person singular and the third person singular are identical. And they will always be identical in the imperfect subjunctive, no matter what verb you're conjugating. Then we have nosotros, nosotras, lucháramos, venciéramos, and eligiéramos. And you can see that I've highlighted the third to last syllable because it has an accent above it. And so in the nosotros, nosotras form, we need to add that accent over the third last syllable to make the pronunciation correct. So we have lucháramos, venciéramos, and eligiéramos. Now for the vosotros, vosotras form, we have lucharais, vencierais, and eligierais. And finally, third person plural, we have ellos, ellas, ustedes, lucharan, vencieran, and eligieran. So that is how you form the imperfect subjunctive. Okay, so let's review a little bit, and we're going to review by taking a little quiz. So this quiz, we're going to go over the uses of the present subjunctive and the imperfect subjunctive. So our first question is, we don't want you to win the elections. No queremos que tú las elecciones. So we are working with the verb ganar, to win, and our subject is tú. So we can immediately rule out ganarais, because that is the vosotros form. So we don't want that. Now our verb here, no queremos, that is in the present tense. So we can rule out ganaras, because that is the imperfect subjunctive. So we know we are looking for a verb, queremos, to match queremos, that is going to be in the present tense. So we are left with ganes or ganas. And so we are going to use ganes because that is the present subjunctive. No queremos que tú ganes las elecciones. We don't want you to win the elections. The correct choice is ganes. Okay, next question. I told you not to talk to me like that. Te dije que no me así. So the verb we're working with is hablar, to speak. So our choices are hablaste, hablaras, hables, and hablas. Okay, so we can tell that we're looking for the to form because our pronoun here is te dije. So I told you. So we know that we're working with the to form. However, all of these verbs are using the tu conjugation. So how can we rule them out? Well, the verb dije is in the preterite, so we know that we can rule out hablas, which is present, and hables, which is present subjunctive. We can rule those out. So our choices are hablaste and hablaras. Okay, so here we're making a command. I told you not to talk to me like that. So we need the imperfect subjunctive. Te dije que no me hablaras así. I told you not to talk to me like that. Question 3. The people hoped that somebody would assassinate the dictator. La gente esperaba que alguien al dictador. So we are working with the verb asesinar. So our subject here is alguien. So we need third person singular. So our choices are asesinara, asesina, asesine, and asesino. Well, our verb here is in the imperfect, so we know we need something imperfect or in the past. So we can rule out asesina, asesine, and asesina, because those are in the present tense. So we can rule those out. So our choice is the imperfect subjunctive, the verb asesinara. La gente esperaba que alguien asesinara al dictador. The people hoped that somebody would assassinate the dictator. Okay, question 4. What is the base of the imperfect subjunctive? So we have third person plural imperfect, first person singular imperfect, first person plural preterite, or third person plural preterite. The correct answer, what do you think it is? Right, it is D. It is the third person plural preterite that we use as our base. We remove the O-N ending and we add the endings that we looked at previously. Okay, so finally, what is the proper conjugation of third person plural? So nosotros, nosotras. I'm sorry, that's not third person plural. That is first person plural, nosotros, nosotras. of the verb votar in the imperfect subjunctive. So our choices are votáramos, votemos, votaremos, and votaramos. Okay, so we're looking for the imperfect subjunctive for the first person plural, nosotros, nosotras form. So we can get rid of votaremos because that is the future tense. We can get rid of votemos because that is present subjunctive. So we are left with votáramos and votaremos. You can see that these two are spelled exactly the same, but A has the accent over the third last syllable. So it's pronounced votáramos. So that is the correct conjugation of the verb votar in imperfect subjunctive for the first person plural. All right. Okay, and that concludes our lesson on the imperfect subjunctive. We hope you find it useful. Enhorabuena. Well done.